And then what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
Do you think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it opened?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
That's about the game too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's talk about basketball.
Yeah.
Come on now.
What do you think of just how you all were able to pull away in the second half, Caitlin, in particular?
We're going to the Commissioner Cup Championship.
Let's go!
That's pretty exciting. Y'all want to talk about that? Let's talk about that.
Let's be brutally honest. The WNBA doesn't deserve Caitlin Clark. They have the most transcendent talent women's basketball has ever seen. A player who single-handedly dragged the league from the shadows into mainstream relevance. And how do they repay her? By letting referees look the other way, while opponents treat her like a punching bag, game after game, season after season.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of like backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate properly.
So when Caitlin finally spoke up at that press conference, after Sophie Cunningham got ejected for doing what the refs wouldn't and actually standing up for the league's biggest star, her response wasn't just justified, it was long overdue.
Don't understand why this is all happening to Caitlin Clark, who's brought so much attention to the league, frankly, revenue and viewership numbers. She single-handedly has made the broadcast rights go up, and I'm not saying she's the only one who did it. Yes, all of the women that came before her matter too, but the WNBA is doing better because Caitlin Clark is in it now. It is one of the reasons they're doing better, and a rising tide lifts all boats. Everybody in the WNBA is better.
Here's what really went down that night against the Connecticut Sun, and why it perfectly sums up everything wrong with how the WNBA has handled Caitlin Clark. During the third quarter, JCS Sheldon poked Clark in the eye, and instead of the refs stepping in to calm things down, they let Marina Mabrey come in and blindside Clark, knocking her to the floor. The officials handed out a few meaningless technical fouls and called it a day, ignoring the fact that their biggest star was being targeted right in front of them.
Courtney, if somebody ever tackles you like that,
nobody would ever tackle me like that. They would play with Bridget like that, and then we would have to like take it up there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying.
Nobody would ever tell me like
if that ever happened, you better crash out behind me because I'm crashing out behind you. We can share the same jail cell. Yeah, bro.
Oh my gosh, bro. Our team would cry, bro, because they would play with somebody that's like not even like.
But Sophie Cunningham wasn't about to let it slide. She watched her teammate get targeted, saw the refs do nothing about it, and decided she'd had enough. With under a minute left in the game, Cunningham wrapped up Sheldon on a fast break and took her to the ground, sending a clear message: if the WNBA won't protect Caitlin Clark, her teammates will. The result? Cunningham was ejected.
Tonight, she is one of the best teammates in the world. After the entire league has been after Caitlin Clark for so long, and after tonight getting poked in the eye and body shoved by the Connecticut Sun, Sophie Cunningham had finally had enough and took it into her own hands.
Sheldon comes up with the steal.
The player who finally stood up for the league's biggest star ended up getting tossed from the game for doing something that shouldn't have been necessary in the first place. Are we serious right now? Let's talk about how absurd this is. Caitlin Clark has completely transformed the WNBA, bringing millions of new fans to women's basketball, pushing TV ratings to record highs, and making the league more relevant than it's ever been in its 27-year history. And how does the WNBA repay this generational talent who is practically printing money for them?
WNBA is not a vertical league. Their players can't jump over each other to score like the NBA. It's a horizontal chippy league. And you didn't watch the NBA for the last 10 to 12 years. It has always been physical and always been chippy. You get into a lot of collisions because there's no Ja Morant here. There's no Ant Edwards. They don't jump over. It's a horizontal physical league. And Caitlin Clark now is like kerosene to the physicality flame. So you have physicality in this league, and now you get this flashy player, and they don't know how to officiate her. They don't know how to defend her.
By allowing veteran players to rough her up without consequence, by letting referees swallow their whistles when she takes cheap shots, and by creating an environment where Clark has ended up on the receiving end of 17% of all flagrant fouls in the league, a statistic so absurd it borders on criminal negligence by the officials. Who would have thought that elevating an entire professional sports league would lead to being disrespected for it? But that's exactly what's been happening to Clark since she entered the WNBA. She's breaking records, packing arenas that would otherwise be half empty, and in return, she's getting a target on her back that the refs seem determined to ignore.
Going on with the chipping, is there an explanation were you given for the tech that you got?
I'll take the official questions. There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game. It's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better. They got to be better.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe. Finally, Caitlin Clark has a teammate who won't just stand by and watch her get brutalized on the court. Sophie Cunningham, who came to Indiana from Phoenix in a 4-team trade, has quickly taken on the role of Clark's unofficial bodyguard and official enforcer, and the fans can't get enough of her. Before the game against Connecticut, Cunningham had fewer than 400,000 TikTok followers, but within days of standing up for Clark, her following shot up to over 1.2 million. Her Instagram blew up with over 300,000 new followers, and her jersey sales went through the roof. Why? Because fans finally saw someone willing to have Caitlin Clark's back. This is what true teammate support looks like. Sophie Cunningham saw the officials failing in their most basic responsibility, protecting players, and decided to step in herself.